could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Yeah, and times are changing everywhere. Do we dream and do we dare? It's up to you, the door is open wide. Feel the rhythm of today, learn the part and join the play. The world is here, let's take it for a ride. You could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You could have all you ever wanted, shoot the moon and reach for Mars. You know you could. Larger, larger than, bigger, bigger than, living hopes and dreams. Every boy and girl, higher, higher than, brighter, brighter than, all you wanted. You know, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world, living out the hopes and dreams of every boy and every girl. You could fly higher than the sky, shine brighter than the stars. You can have all you ever wanted. You know you could.
Good morning and welcome back to the channel, Grand Colombia. Thank you, one and all. And welcome to another Coffee Time Live. I'm sitting here in Armenia, Colombia. The weather is pretty spectacular. It's about 70 degrees right now. And there we go. Lousy camera, but you can see blue skies, clouds. The clouds come right down into the mountains. There's several mountain ranges behind those clouds, but that's what happens when you live in the clouds. You don't get to see everything. Okay. Today we got a high of 78 degrees and a low. The high is at around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, the low will be about 63 degrees, and it'll be about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying to remember the things that you guys asked me. Peso, so far I haven't forgotten. The peso is 42.28 to the dollar as of this morning. Let's see. Juka, Jerry, thank you for the contributions. I want to thank everybody for contributions you make, be it through the web page. A number of people do that here during chat, like Jerry and Yuka. Jerry just bought some merchandise. I get a couple dollars off of that, so that's pretty awesome. Audio and video good, thank you. But thank you all for supporting the channel. Today I'm going to talk about some news items, as always, and then a couple things about retirement. And I'm contemplating, because it's been a long time, I'm contemplating putting together maybe a small group of videos that cover various topics about retiring in Colombia. You know, starting with you're sitting in the United States and you're thinking about it, all the way to 2 years down the road, where you are and what to expect, and touch on various things like topics that I don't cover, and I won't in detail, but I will make some recommendations about taxes, for example, things like that, things that I just don't want to talk about. Left side of your face is washed out, too much sun or lighting. I don't know, here it looks about right. Nothing I can do about it now anyway. But I don't know, looking about right. I didn't need my ring light to lighten up my eyeballs. Okay, so I'm thinking about that, and if you think it's a good idea, let me know. But I've got two things that I'm going to talk about as far as retirement goes. And let's see what else here. The coffee time or coffee meeting apparently is kind of alive and well. I went to the last few, just a couple real short clips. I think it's like 20 seconds.
De estas blusas tengo.
Yeah, which is much easier. You put 000. That's it. I was talking to somebody.
Hey, it was Mike. So I apparently I do a lot of my errands on Wednesdays, and I never really thought about it because when Wednesdays come around, I don't think that I'm going to go to the coffee meetings. But when Wednesday come around, I realize, oh, I'm going to go out and I've got to do this, this, and this. And as long as I'm out, I got that gap in time. The coffee meeting kind of fits it. They originally started on Tuesdays, so that wasn't really an issue. But I do a lot of running on Wednesdays, and I never really thought about it. You know, days are just a name these days, you know. So I've been going to them. Haven't been staying, you know, as long as I did before, but I think I've been staying about an hour, and it's interesting. So anyway, they're still functioning, I guess. It was just that one time that I went and nobody showed up. Okay, on to the news. Let's talk about some news. This, for most of you, won't mean anything, but here in let me go back to some quick chats here. Got Yuka, thank you very much. Jerry, thank you very much. I sent out a cup of coffee. Yuka, greetings from Finland. How you doing? Rob, good morning. I sent him a WhatsApp message about nice that he was on time for a change. Turtle, good morning from sunny, hot Bucaramanga. One of the topics today actually came from Turtle. Coleman, good evening from the Philippines. Where are you in the Philippines? Audio and video good. Turtle, left side of you. Oh yeah, I covered that. Don't know what that's about. Good morning from Kali. Robert, good morning. Robert Canton, good morning. The weather is awful in Montreal. Well, that's one reason I'm not in Montreal. Robert, if you are applying for citizenship and you're over 65. Huh? I'm not sure what. Libby, good morning from Florida. How you doing? Mike, good morning. Robert, you don't have to take the exam now. I'm hearing they raised the age to 70. Robert Stewart, good morning from Texas. Baguio, oh, it's nice and cool up there. And golf courses. Ben Lake, welcome back to Colombia, Mr. Ben Lake. Okay. So let's get on with our topics. Like I say, the first one won't mean much to a lot of you, but very famous actress here in Colombia. She was in a lot of, over the last 10 years. Well, she started out as a beauty queen, which is a big thing here. And then she was in a lot of TV serials and a number of Colombian-made movies. They have a pretty popular movie industry here in Colombia. And here it is. She just died this week. So very sad for a lot of Colombians. Next news article. Quindío is becoming world famous. Quindío is a department, and Armenia is the capital, and a department is the sort of the equivalent of a state. Go on. There we go. The ambassador of the European Union in Colombia arrived in the department of Quindío. A lot of people of high status have been rolling through Quindío recently, and it goes to my next story. Renee, hi from Brussels. How you doing? Filandia is highlighted as one of the best rural tourism destinations in the world. This is kind of a big deal. And the last couple of weeks, I've mentioned stories similar in this vein about Quindío being singled out and noticed, particularly in Europe. This is there's a General Assembly of the World Tourism Organization. It met this year in Uzbekistan. It's one of the best rural tourism destinations in the world by World Tourism Organization, Filandia, selecting Filandia among 260 candidates from more than 60 countries. So a lot of people that have rolled through here feel that Filandia is one of the best rural destinations in the world. So that's very meaningful. You know, it's funny, years ago, well, people still do. Filandia has become discovered, but years ago, everybody wanted to go to Salento. And I've talked about why and the history of it and what happened back during the earthquakes. And Salento's a nice place, but I've always said that, well, my favorite place is actually Filandia. And while there's some similarities, there are a lot of differences. And so you can go just a few short miles and see amazing differences, like just the landscape alone. You know, Filandia is up on a plateau and it overlooks these small rolling hills. And Salento is kind of the opposite. It's up in a mountain and you're looking up at mountains and looking down in these valleys. But there's similarities, but a lot of differences. And I always like Filandia. Well, Filandia, for the last handful of years, has had more and more tourists. It's become much more touristy. It used to just be a little village, and now you go there pretty much any time. There'll be a ton of people just kind of checking it out. I don't know if it's good or bad. One of the things I really liked about it is it was just kind of easy to navigate around. But yeah, that's just the way it goes. Can't keep things secret forever. Travel Guy, good morning from Wellington, Florida. La Femme, hello from Russia. Howdy, you're new. Welcome. Haven't seen you before. Okay, and let's see, what's next? El Quindío will captivate with its coffee at the Café de Colombia Expo Fair. Okay, what this is every year there is basically a coffee tasting, a national coffee tasting. And the winners will go on to the international. And Colombia is always, obviously, they're either at the top or close to the top internationally. Well, this year, there's a number of vendors from Quindío that are going. And Quindío is actually the favored area this year. There's a lot of people been working very hard on the quality of the coffee coming out of Quindío and not just mass marketing. One thing that Caldas is known for is a lot of coffee, but it's all mass marketing. That's where that huge international freeze-dried coffee factory is, where you get your Folgers and things like that. But Quindío has really been focusing on more boutique coffees, and growing them in a different way, using plants instead of insecticides and things like that. But they've really been focusing on the quality of the coffee, and it's beginning to pay off. I mean, it's been good for years, but it keeps improving, and it keeps getting noticed. And so we'll see what happens, what comes out of Bogota. But it's expected that a number of brands or fincas that go there will come out pretty strong. Okay, next one. This is the cute overload. Meet Olanguito, a solitary and nocturnal species in Colombia, barely described. Okay, it's a poor translation. Described in 2013. It was discovered in 2013. This only grows here in the Andes, and they grow to about maximum of 2 pounds. So they're itty bitty things. They eat insects and fruits, but they'll also eat small animals. They're kind of a carnivore, omnivore sort of thing. They're considered a carnivore, but their basic diet is more insects and fruits. But these are just itty bitty furry things, and they're kind of awesome. But it's one more reason to check out Colombia. Well, it'll be hard to find. I mean, these things were unknown for forever. At least in our history. Who knows about prehistory? But they're hiding up in the mountains, and they live pretty much alone. They don't run in packs. They mostly only come out at night. So, it's no wonder that they're living in uninhabitable places, and you only could see them at night when they're out. So, but there they are. They're pretty awesome. Tim, another newbie. Hello from Ohio. How you doing? Sorry about Jim Jordan. Okay. This one kind of cracked me up. Condeo does not have authorized sites for technical mechanical inspection of electric motorcycles. Now, the technical mechanical inspection is like your emissions test that you'll have in various states in the United States, where you put a wand in the tailpipe, they check for engine codes in the computer, and they make sure that you got brakes, and so it's a safety emissions inspection. Well, they don't have a place to do these in Condeo for electric motorcycles. And there's one lady in particular, she bought hers in 2019. They're only just becoming popular. She got hers in 2019, and for the first 2 years, if something's new, you don't have to worry about it. And so this is something that's just now showing up. So this lady, she couldn't find, well, first of all, she didn't know that she had to have one. She got pulled over, and they said, you don't have your safety inspection. Well, I didn't know I had to have one. It's electric. What emissions are you going to check? Well, it's required by the law. You got to have it. So then she went to look, and there weren't any in Condeo. So then they found for her, the closest one is in Pereira. And she said, but that's a problem, because this is electric. I only get 35 kilometers out of it before I have to recharge it. I won't be able to get there, let alone get back. It's an issue from where it's located. And they're saying, well, you're going to have to hire a truck and load it up on a truck. And then, so this is, people are scratching their head. It's like, geez, nobody thought about this. So I just kind of found it humorous, everybody jumping on the electric bandwagon, and then finding out it's not as promised. And so you guys in the United States, I see, are having massive problems with hundreds of thousands, with all marks, hundreds of thousands of vehicles sitting on lots unable to be sold. All right. This is going to be about the channel itself. Some of you hate it, some of you like it. But if I get questions and ask me a couple times, I bring it up. And it was asked, and then the next day it was asked again by somebody else. What's going on with your subscriptions? How come you don't seem to be growing your channel? And they usually come along with suggestions about how I can grow the channel. Forget it. As long as it's on YouTube, that's not going to happen. So I want to show you something. Look right here, 4,099. Now, over 2 years ago, when I was demonetized, I broke 4,000 subscribers, and it was moving up 2 or 3 a day back at that time. And then once they demonetized me and they put you in a different category where you just can't grow, your videos aren't really promoted, occasionally by accident, but generally they're not promoted. So over 2 years, I've been stuck at 4,000, and I'm one away from 4,100. But I have to tell you, this isn't the first time. I've been at 40.99 a number of times in the last few weeks. And what happens is, usually around Sunday or Monday, when people watch this, you'll have subscribers. Like our gentleman from Russia, maybe he just saw us for the first time, and maybe he decides to subscribe so he gets notifications so he doesn't forget. Okay, that's normally how that happens. So Monday or Tuesday, I'll see 10, 12, 15 subscribers. And then over the course of the week, before the next Sunday, I'll see -2, -5, -1, -3, and they all get wiped away. And usually I get like maybe one to the good over each week. So when I hit 4,000 over 2 years ago, 2 years later, I still haven't collected 100 more. And if you know anything about how these things work, that's just, it's not even a possibility. You stumble into more than that. So the reason is it's suppressed by YouTube. And because it's suppressed, that's why you never hear me ask for people to subscribe. I don't ask you for, likes and all of that, because it won't change anything as long as I'm here on YouTube. And Rumble is just not an answer yet. It's getting pretty damn close. They're one feature away from me being able to go there. And then you've got X or Twitter, where there's been a lot of changes and things are better. On the other side, in order to broadcast, you have to subscribe to them. It's not very much. It's certainly doable, but again, they're missing some things too. So that's why. Okay. This isn't anything in particular. I was out doing my errands and I just stumbled across this and thought, I'll mention this. Fitness here is a big thing. Now, there's something about Armenia, and I hope nobody takes offense, but it doesn't matter. Truth is truth. Men in Armenia, in Colombia, Armenia, are very fit, and throughout Colombia tend to be very fit. Women in various places throughout Colombia tend to be quite fit. One of the reasons people consider them beautiful. Here in Armenia, we have an inordinate amount of females that are between chubby and fat. I have no idea why that is. I've asked Colombian friends, not just here in Armenia, but from other places, why that. First of all, had they observed it? And second of all, why is that? And usually there's a little hesitation because, they don't want to be insulting, but no, just generically speaking. I mean, it's there on the street. Take a look. And I say, yeah, we do know that, but we don't really know why. There's a couple theories that if you go in the south of Armenia, you don't see it so much, and in the north, because it's wealthy, that, maybe they just eat too much. Yeah, except it's not really the case. You can go in the south and you see the same thing. So I don't know what it is. However, throughout Colombia and here in Armenia, you'll see, like in parks, you'll see free exercise equipment. here we've got a gymnasium. We also have an outside of the design, the free exercise equipment. But you go to various parks, you'll see it. Plus, you'll see them close roads on weekends for biking or for running. Biking is a big thing here. And the malls, usually before they open, you'll have these exercise programs. Well, I was walking through the mall the other day. I think it was about, maybe it was around 9 or 10 in the morning, and this is what I saw. And it's not unusual at all. People are very fitness minded here. What do you got? Charles, hello all. Back in New York City. Was in Monterrey, Colombia for 10 days. Setting up my November trip. Avianca prices seem to be going up. Love the channel. Thank you very much. Rob, been there. Really like it. Awesome. Okay. So let's see. Our topic. Got anything else here? I think I covered it all. All right. Please think about, whoop, let me get that off the screen. Please think about what I mentioned before. I don't want to spend a couple weeks putting together a series if people aren't really interested in it when it comes to retirement. And the majority, not all, of course, but the majority of viewers on this channel are people contemplating retiring in Colombia. Okay. First of all, while you're here, you really should consider a will of some sorts. See, Turtle, I was listening to you. He messaged me a story about somebody passed away and left sorting out his what to do with his belongings and all of that to people that he knew left behind. If you don't do something, the state just takes it, divides it up. Who knows? It just kind of disappears. And at the very least, if you're here, you say, well, I'm not, I don't have anything. I'm not going to leave anything. Well, it's not really the case because you're probably here. Maybe you got some furniture, maybe a TV, maybe a computer, laptop, things like that. Maybe pots and pans. And it can just kind of vanish, or maybe you can do something useful with it. Maybe you can donate it to a church. Maybe you can donate it to somebody that you know that could use it. A lot of single moms that struggle, maybe something like that. But you can't just write a letter. And so what you need to do is just kind of look at what the laws are. And I'm not going to go over those today. I'm just bringing this to mind that maybe there's something that you can do. And I'll just tell you one. And there's a lot of different categories. Some that are like secretive, like closed information that only is revealed when the lawyer opens it up and reads it. But you got less formal. So there's one example that's doesn't fall in that category, that it's known, that basically you write up a document, and you could do it in English and Spanish. And then you get 3 witnesses, and you go to the notary, and the witnesses sign it, and the notary notarizes it. Now you have a legal document that if you die, what you plan to do with whatever is taken care of. I suggest you do that. I'm actually going to do that. Probably what I'll do is maybe some of the guys that I know here, I'll just have them as witnesses. And, maybe it's something that, okay, I'll take care of yours if you take care of mine, or something like that. I don't know. I've got to give it some thought. But it is a good point because, what was my thought? Well, I'm dead. What the hell do I care? Yeah, but you don't want to leave that where other people, one person knows another person. Maybe they ask the the guard, and he says, "Oh well, you know, so and so came to visit, and I've got his information here in the logbook." And then they come and say, "Hey, your friend died," and I mean, who knows who you're going to be bothering, and you don't really want to leave problems behind. So it's something to contemplate. Now, the second one came about because on my YouTube feed, this video popped up. And who it was doesn't matter. It's nobody I'd ever heard of before. And the title was something along the lines of the best quality of living in Colombia, Envigado. Well, Envigado is a nice place. However, to say it's the best quality of living in Colombia is, I don't get where that comes from. So I watched some of it. I watched all of it because it wasn't that great. It was like one of mine, you know, it was just kind of, just not all that great. But what he should have titled it was maybe the best quality of living, in his opinion, in Medellin. Because as it turns out, the guy hadn't been in Colombia that long, and he had the honeymoon phase going on, and Envigado had a lot of things that, you know, like Poblado, it's like much more expensive, you know, compared to other barrios. It seemed to be, you know, that's too hot, that's too cold. Well, this one's just right. And Envigado does tend to play that role, and it's why it's become more popular. But that's as compared to Medellin. And Medellin is not Colombia. It's a small, unusual part of Colombia. It's not even typical Colombia. And if you want the best quality of living, well, I hesitate to say, again, it's all opinion, but you have situations like, well, if you're Colombian and you retire, where do most retirees go that are Colombian? Well, they go to the Coffee Triangle. Particularly, they go to Armenia. It's the #1 destination. Well, why aren't they going to Envigado? Well, there's a lot of reasons, and it's not to throw stones at Envigado. It's just it's not, you know, the top of the list, because there's a lot of places, because that guy just isn't aware of them. He's never really been outside of Medellin. It's so, what's my point here? My point is these random YouTube videos that make these kind of declarations are not where you should be getting your information from. I'm sure you should be getting it from me, but you got to get it from somewhere. But understand that everything I say is basically my opinion. Yours might be different. You know, so even if you hear what's said, you want to see firsthand. Or maybe you have conversations with, okay, why do you think that? And, you know, kind of vet that information. But I've seen way too many people, and it's the reason I started making videos in the first place 7 years ago, is because people believed information they heard, made life choices, and then regretted the choices that they made. Because the information, well, in the cases that got me started, it was through international lying, and it was just not true what they were told. But it could be omission, it could be ignorance, like the video that really got to me. The guy that came with his buddy and came into Armenia, and he was here in Armenia for 2 hours, and he made all these conclusions that were all completely wrong. And if you listen to anything that he said, you wouldn't have a clue about what Armenia was about. It was just all crap. But he wasn't doing it to provide good information. He was doing it to try to make a popular video. And he filled it with things like, oh, this dangerous area, which completely was not. And you know, he set up these fake situations that I knew, because I knew where he was, you know, in the video. I certainly recognized, I knew what was going on. But if you didn't know, you would think, oh, you know, he's talking about this dangerous. No, it was all to sell a video. And so you have to be very careful of that kind of stuff. particularly people who just kind of fly in and out of a place. It's just nothing you should rely on. So if you're going to choose a place, and this is kind of a sample of if I did a series of videos, it'd be something along the lines of, the location. What you first want to do is what's important to you to have and to have not. What are your likes and dislikes, and do that list of one and the other, and then start looking at different locations to see what they have and what they don't have, and prepare to make some compromises, because there's probably, for very few people, you'll ever find a place that's 100% exactly the way you want it. So you kind of prioritize that stuff and then focus on, the most important things. If you did that, there's a pretty good chance it wouldn't be Envigado. Now, if the only place you were considering was living in Medellin, then Envigado would probably be at the top or near the top of your list. So, it's all relatively speaking. But if you're going to retire, there's a whole bunch of things that come into play about what you would desire. And it probably wouldn't be in and around Medellin. Now, for some, it would. You have a lot of people, they want to retire, and all they want to do in their retirement years is have women and drink and party a lot. Medellin's a perfect place for you. I won't deny that. But most people that are retiring don't fit that category. They're more concerned about the quality of life, the cost of living, things to do, the friendliness of the people. Are they going to have somebody take advantage of them? Those things tend to be a lot more important than how many discotheques do they have. And I'm not going to run down a discotheque. I mean, there was a time in my life when, picking up hot chicks and going out and partying was, was a big thing in my life too. I look back and say, damn, I wish I hadn't wasted all that time and money, but hey, everybody goes through that. But when you get by the time you're, getting ready to retire, those things become less important. And if you're looking for, a female, you're probably looking for something more stable than, a whole endless series of one night stands. So, different people are going to have different choices to make. So you really want to give it some thought. You can watch those kind of videos, but I'm just saying, beware of the information and don't just say, well, he said what I wanted to hear, therefore it's true. You got to kind of do your homework. So let me know if you're interested in the retirement thing about how packing, what should I pack to go there, and what do I have to do for a visa, and instead of being technical on some of those topics like taxes and visas, I will generalize to point you in the right direction. Where will I live? Find an apartment? Should I drive? How do I avoid paying taxes I shouldn't pay? Which brings up another thing. I got another message. I get these from time to time. But I got another message from somebody telling me that I shouldn't be cheating Colombia if I'm going to keep talking about avoiding taxes. And this really pisses me off, because first of all, if you live in Colombia, you're not avoiding your contribution to the country. Everything that you buy, your rent that you pay, pretty much everything has a 19% tax on it. It's built into the price. So in other words, I'm contributing mightily to the economy. So that's the first thing. And that's more than 80% of the type of tax that Colombians will pay. Very few will pay beyond that. And it's the same for us. But what I talk about is, look, if you owe tax, pay the tax. I've never said anything other than that. But Colombian tax laws are different. And you can have a situation where if you operate this way, you're perfectly legal and you're not in a situation where you have to pay a tax. But the minute you operate this way, all of a sudden, for the same income, now you put yourself in a situation where you have to pay a tax. And all I'm saying is, don't drive down this road if you don't have to, because you end up paying a tax that legally you wouldn't have to if you go down this road. And I just talked to somebody who, they're a married couple, and they did exactly that by accident without knowing, and now they're having to pay a tax, and now every year they're required to go through a certain process that they wouldn't have had to, and they didn't have to before. Not wanting to volunteer to pay a tax that you don't have to pay is not cheating Colombia. As a matter of fact, if you volunteer to pay tax that you don't have to pay, as far as I'm concerned, you're an idiot. But feel free. You know, if it bothers you, then come down here and hell, you know, instead of 10%, give them 30%. You know, just give it to them. Why stand on ceremony and wait? You know, when you enter in, if you come in with a bunch of money in your bank, just hand over a big chunk of it to them so you can feel good about yourself. I don't have that kind of money to throw around, and I'm not going to do it if I don't have to, if they're not requiring that. I'm not going to volunteer to do something that I don't have to do. So people got to quit being all high and mighty about, well, if I lived there, I would certainly, you know, pay my way. I do. I'm not wealthy, and I'm not in a situation where I have to pay taxes. However, there is a way that I could handle banking that if I didn't know any better, I could accidentally put myself in a situation by virtue of the type and quantity of transactions, even if it's only the same amount of money. I could put myself in a situation where all of a sudden I owe a tax where if I hadn't operated that way, I wouldn't have had to. Now, you say, well, you're not being specific, because everybody's situation is different. And what I say about taxes all the time is you need to find out for your particular situation, one, to make sure you're doing what you should do, and two, make sure that you're not accidentally doing something you didn't have to do. And so that's what I've always referred to. I've never told anybody, you know, cheat their taxes, and I certainly don't cheat my taxes. Okay. Let's see. When you die, who cares where your stuff goes? Well, I explained that. It can be important. My primary selection was Manizales to a friend in Mexico City who does business in Colombia. Recommended I take a look at Armenia. I thankfully did. You know, I love Manizales. I miss Manizales sometimes. I even contemplate going back there for a year and then coming back here. But I get there maybe once or twice a month on a lot of months. It is a great place and has a lot going for it. And like I said, I've said this all along, if I didn't have the particular reason I live in Armenia, I probably would live in Manizales. But I live here, I love it here, and you know, I'm content with that. Dan, I would like to drink and run around with multiple women, but my wife says no. Well, you know, it's kind of like paying the taxes. Do you tax you on your Social Security pension from the USA? Probably not. But again, you know, you talk to a tax professional. I posted up on Adventure of Grand Colombia a video that was the first video I've seen. They're by tax professionals, but it was the first one I've seen that was actually accurate as far as what the law says. There's so much crap out there, and in Medellin in particular, because you have a lot of foreigners coming in, they tend to, and this isn't all, but I see it a lot. They tend to blow things up out of proportion more than what they are in order to justify amount of fees that they're going to charge. And what you really need to know is the truth. You don't need to be, scared into something. You don't need to have something all exaggerated. Look, if it's that difficult, then why are you even doing it as a business? I mean, if you think it's that difficult, maybe you're the wrong person I should have to handle my taxes. I guess they don't think of it that way, but they blow it up out of proportion like it's insurmountable. Just to rationalize their position. Well, a person that thinks the topic is insurmountable probably isn't the one I want to handle that topic. So think about it that way. But I will tell you this. I don't know of anyone on a pension of $2,000 or less coming out of the USA. I don't know of anyone that is required to pay an income tax. I know one situation where they have two pensions, and there's actually a way to not pay taxes on that also. But you want to make sure that the reason you get a tax accountant is so you could do it legally, but you can avoid paying taxes in that situation if you do it properly. There is one that I know, but he's got a number of sources of income plus his Social Security, and he had accidentally thinking he had to go through the tax, he got himself the RUT number and he filed the tax and he accounted for some things that he didn't have to. And what it did was it instantly put him in a situation where he was going to be calculated for income tax. It was completely unnecessary. So you want to get good information on it. But if you have, just as a rule of thumb, not for you in particular, but if your Social Security is $2,000 or less, I would be shocked to find out that you had to pay tax on it, because I don't know anybody that does. Okay. Do we have any questions? Was that too convoluted? I know I tend to ramble. Thinking about that Bills game today. Kidding. So we got any questions? Got anything else? It's Q&A time. It's time to start asking your questions. Remember, 4 question marks first, then ask the question. What do you think? What do we got? Excellent chat today, very informative. Well, I hope so. I never know. So I don't read. I do my notes every week. Here's my notepad. But they're just 1, actress, 2, ambassador and Candio, like that. So basically I have to, like on the news topics, I have to read them. I have to understand them. Sometimes I have to cross-reference them because I don't get it. So I have to prepare for it. But I don't want to read a teleprompter. And I have one. I've had one for about 4 years, where I could set it up as a teleprompter, and it would be right here, and the words would scroll. It wouldn't be on the computer. It would be on the camera, and the words would scroll, and I could read it. And I tried it on a couple videos, and it just was really uncomfortable. I'd rather just talk. The upside is I cover a lot of ground with a teleprompter, and the downside of not having it is I tend to ramble, and I'll think of something else, and I'll go off and tell a side story, and then I come back. Then I have some people say, well, I like your side stories. Okay, you never know what's going to work. Do you think you will apply for citizenship? I wasn't planning to, but with the changes, I will. I'll be eligible in 5 years. Right now, I'm getting my permanent residency. I should have it next month. I'm just beginning the process there. And then in 5 years, I might as well go ahead and get citizenship because the permanent residency is now only good for 5 years. Permanent residency is no longer permanent. And I mean, I don't want to keep doing visas if I don't have to. I don't want to have to keep paying the cost. The permanent residency costs probably 50% more than the retirement visa. So it's like the costs, it's getting more expensive every year, at least for me. I'm living on local economy. And so you have to remember when you're in the United States, you're living on the U.S. economy. Here, you're living on a scale of economy that's about 25% of that. So, if you have a low income, but you're buying the food and paying the rent and all of that, everything scales down to that. And so what is, to me, $20 bill is a hell of a lot of money because I've been living here on this economy. And to you, $20 bill, I mean, I lived in the United States for many years, and $20, it's $20. It's no big deal. Yeah, it's nice and you can do something with it, but it's not the end of the world if you drop it. Here you lose $20. It's like, holy crap, I better find that thing. I got a water bill to pay. So retirement info always will be appreciated. We'll retire there in 2 years. All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. If I hear a few more, I will seriously, it's a lot of work. And even though I've done some in the past, some needs updating. So I'm thinking about doing it. It won't be in this situation. It'll be edited to kind of keep my information more direct. There'll be cuts in it. It'll probably be a series of a few videos so that you're not having to sit there and watch 2 hours at once. So it'll probably be in that format where I record it, I edit it, and I upload it. I hate editing, but I think it's time maybe to, I mean, if there's not a lot of interest in it, I'm not going to look for extra work. But if there is interest in it, it probably is time that I update those things and at least give a roadmap of what to look for and where to look for it so you're not surprised. Not eligible for citizenship after more than 5 years on the retirement visas. Correct. You have basically 10 years, 5 years after you get the residency visa. So that amounts to 10 years. So it's 5 years you can apply for the residency visa. I've got an extra year on my retirement visa that's still valid. So I'll have my residency visa and I'll still have a valid retirement visa. I think they probably cancel it at that point. But I'll have my residency visa. And from the moment I get the residency visa, the clock starts for citizenship. That'll be another 5 years. So where you have to get your retirement visa a couple times, the permanent residency, you only have to get one time. Unless you decide not to go for citizenship and then you just kind of renew. When permanent residency meant permanent residency, there was no real advantage of getting citizenship. Everything, you had all the benefits already. But now that, like I say, now that a permanent residency is not really permanent, you might as well go for the citizenship and stop buying visas. Jerry, I'm also interested, but I have some Skype chats leading up to my move as well. That's the way a lot of this has been handled in the past. People will pay me, they'll call me, we'll get on Skype, we'll talk for an hour or two, and they'll have a list of questions and we go through and they make notes, and that's the way it's handled in the past. and that's fine, and I enjoy getting that money, so that's always good. And sometimes I can say things. There's a lot of things actually I can say in a Skype call that I wouldn't put in a public video for a number of reasons, and nothing unethical. It's just that you got to be careful about what you put in a public video when it only applies to maybe 15% of the people out there. But if you're talking to somebody and it might apply to them, then you're free to tell him, hey, in your case, maybe such and such. Can you have dual citizenship with the USA? Yeah, there's no problem with that. How is Liz with the new laws? Is she up to date? Liz. What? Liz. Who are we talking about? Lose? You mean lose for the visas? Oh yeah, lose. But she's fine. The new laws were last fall. It was a struggle the first month. It was a struggle for everybody in Colombia because they would follow the law and then would get kicked back because somebody at the consulate was reading it in a different way. There was a lot of confusion. That's long gone. So there's no problem there. Text Blue Jean, yes. Yes. What am I yesing? Okay. So right now I'm inclined to put together that series and be a project for the next couple weeks, but like I say, it's a fair amount of work and I hate editing, so if there isn't a lot of interest, I'm guessing there probably will be. What's this medical stuff? What medical stuff? What medical stuff are we talking about? If you're holding it in your hands, I can't see it. With the visa. What's the medical stuff with the visa? You mean the health certificate? Yeah, there's a lot of rumors about it. They say it's this mental health thing, and it's a general. It's as a matter of fact, there's a group in I think they're lawyers in Medellin. They actually have on their website, and they say, well, it's because of gringos and all the wars they fight and all the PTSD and it isn't that at all. All they're doing for the visa now is requiring a general medical certificate, which has a category for mental health, but it's also health. It's just in general. And it's virtually the same thing that if you went to get a pistol permit here that you have to go through. So it's not a new concept. It's just something that they have now added. It's something that a lot of countries worldwide have adopted after COVID. They want to be careful about handing visas out to people that are basically going to go to a place and die and run up expenses and problems. And so that's all it is. It doesn't even mean that you can't, have an illness or something like that. It isn't going to necessarily preclude you. I had cancer before. I'm at high risk for cancer, but it's not an issue because, I don't have it at the moment. So it's not a big deal. It's something like my doctor, she didn't know at first what it was about. She was confused, but now she's aware of it, and it's something that takes place. I think it's like an hour and a half and 100,000 pesos, something like that, $20-some. It's not a big deal. Requirement for insurance. I'm not okay. These half sentences, I'm sorry, I just don't know what they're saying. My Sura increased $1.50. Okay. Your Sura increased $1.50. Mine went from 125 to 135. I'm now at 145 over the past few years. I still consider myself lucky, and considering inflation, it's probably barely keeping pace. Looking for, sorry about that. Looking for another lawyer just to check info from present lawyer there. Info lose, which episode? Send me an email and I will send you a copy of her business card with her contact information. There's my email address. I don't recommend going through a lawyer for your visa. It's where all the problems seem to come from. It doesn't mean you won't have a good one, but most lawyers rarely do visas. And the ones in Medellin, I hear endless problems coming out of those. And that's not to say there aren't some good ones there. It's just it happens so much. I mean, I don't even know who the good ones are. And I'm not trying to push it towards lose, because frankly, it doesn't matter to me whether you go there or not. It's not like we don't have any kind of arrangement. She doesn't, give me a headhunter fee or anything like that. The only reason I tell people about her, it started with Turtle, as a matter of fact. When I came, he highly recommended her. And that was my first introduction to her. Since then, I've had great experiences, and everybody I've talked to that used her had great experiences. And so I felt free to recommend her. And in all this time, I've only had one person stop using her and go somewhere else. And everybody else I've gotten great feedback from. And so as long as that's the case, I'll keep recommending her. That one person, it was during last fall when there was so much confusion. And it wasn't anything to do with her. It had to do with the consulate couldn't get their act together. And so they were requiring things would get submitted and resubmitted. The only reason you go is she's cute. She's very religious. She's very married with very children's. And she's nice, but she's not my type. But that would be a good reason, though. If she was my type, and she didn't have a bunch of kids, married, just kidding. Dr. Lewis can answer questions about the medical exam for the visa. I probably by now, I don't know, but I can give you the name of my doctor. You can write to her and ask her about it. I don't know, because I haven't asked her. But I know she's done a ton of these since the law changed, and I'm sure it came up, so I don't know. Present lawyer, I paid $50 just to make sure I was under the 180-day limit. Was told 1 year of travel, still have 14 days left. Okay, I thought Dr. Luz was your doctor. Well, you got a Dr. Luz and you got a Visa Luz. So, yeah. But if you guys email me, I'll be happy to send you off contacts for one thing or another. I don't have a tax contact for you directly, because the person that I knew actually is out of the country, is in Spain. But that video that's on the website, I would feel comfortable. As a matter of fact, this next year, I'm gonna need that service. So I would feel comfortable contacting those people. They put out a video that good, then I imagine their service is probably similar. I would certainly give it a shot. Your GP did examine online for me. My general practitioner did exam online for me. Okay, I'm very confused. Yeah, it's if you're talking about the medical exam, it is a series of questions. There's supposed to be an actual exam as part of that, but it is Colombia. I know the form is the same as for the pistol permit. The pistol permit has it starts off with height, weight, blood pressure, you know, your basic stuff. Visa exam, I submitted docs and answered questions. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, I think we're past time, so we're going to end it here. Feel free to email me any comments on the series. I would appreciate it. Anything you're interested in, shoot it off in an email. Feel free. If you want to comment on the video, that's fine too. I like those, but it won't change my algorithm. I'll be stuck at 4,000 10 years. You know, it's funny. The reasoning behind why they demonetized me was basically, I forget the name of it. There's a particular name that says you got fake clicks. In other words, you can go out and buy view. You can buy views. You can pay a company some money, and for 3 or 4 days, they'll come in and they'll put so many thousands of views, however many you bought, onto your page. Well, back when this happened, I wasn't getting that many, and it would stand out like a sore thumb. And since that wasn't the case, I said, one, I've never done that, and two, you could just look and see that that situation never actually happened. I mean, there was one time I had a video way before they demonetized me that it was when I was still in Ecuador, and it was a hot topic, and it got clicked on by a whole bunch of people around in Ecuador. But I knew about that because I was getting comments, you know, it was explained, it wasn't just these bought views. But it wasn't about that. But what's interesting is that there's a crap ton of YouTube videos right now with people complaining how they're not doing it the way they did it with me anymore, and with other people a couple years ago, where they simply just demonetized us and said you can never draw another dime, and they took us off the algorithm. Well, now you've got people complaining that they're doing it individually to certain videos, and that they're taking their pay and they're cutting it by 90%, saying that basically you're committing fraud. We can't trust you with this number. And I saw this girl, she shows her income chart, and then all of a sudden it drops down to almost nothing. And it's because that's what they're doing. Except if people were doing something illegal, that can actually be discovered, or it's not illegal, but it's against terms of service. That could actually be proven. And I don't think they'd be out making videos complaining about something that could just embarrass them later when it was proven. But YouTube isn't offering up any proof. They're just making this declaration, and you're watching these small channels lose all their income, or if not all, most of it. At least they're getting to keep their account. They actually deleted my the account that you received the money from. They deleted that, and I can never open another one. I get to keep my YouTube channel, but they cut it back so you just can't ever grow it. Well, they're finding that their money's getting cut and they can't grow their channel. It's been drastically cut back, but they're not actually deleting the payment account. And I think YouTube did that because maybe what they did with me and a few others actually wasn't legal. But I don't know. You're seeing it all over, though. I'm seeing a lot of YouTube videos, people complaining about it. Okay, I'm rambling on, and there's a bunch of you here that have better things to do. Thank you. Email me, please. Email me. That's a call to action. You don't have to subscribe. You don't have to give me a thumbs up. But shoot me off an email. It's right there on the screen. And HD Chillin', thank you. I almost missed it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And I will respond to those emails, and that will make my decision of whether I'm going to dive into this or not. And with that, we're going to end it. Here we go.